translator, commentator. Hare Krishna. So we're starting with verse 13 in the 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. 21. So this is conversation between Manu and Kardama Muni. So, and very interesting story here with Kardama Muni. So we'll just start with 21. 13. Sorry. 13. Great. Okay. Om Aginatimirandasya Janajana Salakaya Chaksu Samjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master very kindly forced open my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. And therefore, the debt that I owe to Srila Prabhupada could never be repaid, but I beg for service life after life to somehow make a small, little, teeny, weeny attempt. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's start with number 13. We're gonna read through the translations 13 to 21. Then we'll go back and focus on 15. Okay, but we'll read through the whole storyline. I'll start, and then you guys do. Okay. The great sage Kardama said, "O Supreme Worshipful Lord." Okay, just a little thought, because it's sometimes hard to remember the progress since you guys breeze along so fast. So Kardama Muni has been asked by Lord Brahma way in the beginning of the chapter. It's easy to forget this part. The sixth, I just checked it out. Otherwise, I don't have it memorized. But in the 6th verse of this chapter, Lord Brahma asked Kardama Muni to procreate, to become a Prajapati, to become one of those persons that help fill up the universe with progeny. So that was Kardama's service given to him long enough ago that you might forget that that's what his service was. Okay? Then, in order to fulfill that service, he performed austerities, which is also very important and interesting. He performed austerities for a couple of days. 10,000 years. 10,000 years. Not 10,000 of our years, because it was in a higher planetary system. 10,000 of demigods' years, which is a long time. Okay? And now he was so sincere in his attempt that the Supreme Lord appeared before him. He was praying to the Lord, and the Supreme Lord appeared to him. And now this is the part we're entering now today, is when Kardama is offering his prayers to the Lord. Okay. The great sage Kardama said, "O Supreme Worshipful Lord, my power of sight is now fulfilled, having attained the greatest perfection of the sight of you, who are the reservoir of all existences. Through many successive births of deep meditation, advanced yogis aspire to see your transcendental form." Can anybody think of a verse in Bhagavad Gita that might supplement, that might confirm what he just said, especially the part? Here's the hint. After many successive births of deep meditation, advanced yogis aspire to see your transcendental form. Yes. Yeah. Such a great soul is very rare. After many births and deaths, one performing authorities might come to the conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in other words, to understand that, it takes a long time. It's a gradual process. Now, Srila Prabhupada's given us this process of bhakti yoga, definitely speeds up the potential of it, directly worshiping Krishna and directly chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the Yuga Dharma for the age, definitely speeds up the process. But it's because we've been in the material world for innumerable lifetimes, it takes a while to clean off that. Take a while to clean off that covering. Okay, 14. Would someone like to read? Start on this side.
Lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane nations. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them.
So let's think of that verse for a few seconds. Let it sink in. What can you summarize what that verse just said? What struck you in that verse or anything? Yes.
Even if people come to you to exploit you, you're still merciful unto them.
Yeah. And oftentimes, in other words, another way of saying is that oftentimes people come to the Lord to fulfill their desires. Kind of like Amazon, click, click, click. Can I get a this? Can I get a that? Can I get a that? And so, but what's he saying about that attitude, praying to the Lord to fulfill your material desires? What's the gist of the take-home lesson from that? He's merciful, but what's he saying about the people who pray for those kind of benedictions? No, not yet, but hold on a second, we got over here, but thanks.
They're in Maya and they're asking for things that even people who are in the lower planetary system is going to do.
They're an illusion. Yes, Prabhu, what would you like to add? Put the mic on, okay, because we have so many people listening.
Yeah, I just had a question about it says rotting in hell. So we believe in hell?
People live in hell. People go to hell and people live in hell. And we can see even in this, it's like a sentence. It's a prison sentence. They don't necessarily live in hell forever, but if they're sentenced to life in prison in hell, they live there for a long time. According to past activities, they live there. But even just now on this planet, right? You see, the Bahamas or Hawaii, beautiful heavenly type atmosphere. You see place like Gainesville, which is a nice place. You see a place like, New York City, which has different sections of the city, which some are more safe to go in and some are less safe. So there's hellish situations even here. People live there. But what he's saying about hell is not that they're going to hell. The verse, okay? The verse is not saying that the people are going to hell because they ask the Lord to fulfill their desires. But he's saying that in hell, even your desires get fulfilled anyway. So what's the sense? Prahlad Maharaj, 7th canto, he says that, I forgot what he says. Hell. Going to hell. Well, anyway, he's saying, the point being that, thank you, Krishna. That at the time of our birth, we're born in a situation according to different karma that we've done. Not that person did to me, not that injustice. We've done certain activities. Each activity is like a seed. It plants a seed. And we do a good activity and we have, quote unquote, a good seed. We do a bad activity, a sinful activity, irreligious activity, get a bad seed. So you got a mixture of seeds all together. And you're in this one lifetime, you got some of your accumulation of seeds. And so at the time of your birth, you have a destination of how much happiness and distress you're going to get due to your past activities. So what are you going to make of it in this life? But due to those past activities at birth, this is what Prahlad Maharaj is explaining in the 7th canto, that let's just say, in terms for us to comprehend, you're born with, you're destined to get 60% happiness in your life and 40% suffering in your life. Let's just, like that. So that means that you're going to get it in any way, shape, or form. You're going to get that, your due quota of happiness and distress. You're going to get it. So we have the illusion. I'm just looking at myself. We've only done 2 verses and we haven't. Okay. We have the illusion that we're the doer. That by my endeavor, I went to school, I went to UF, I got a good job, I did this, and I got a good salary, and therefore I did it. Because of our 60% of happiness that we deserve to get in this life, because of our 40% of distress we get to get this life, we're going to get that anyway, whether we go to UF or, whatever you graduate, you're going to get your happiness and distress anyway. The question is, an intelligent person will say, Now I have this situation. What am I going to do with it now? What am I going to do for my future? My progress in consciousness evolution. I could talk about that more, but I think I should get back to the sorry. But that was a good question. Thank you. Continuing on reading, would you like to read Nishna? Thanks.
Therefore, desiring to marry a girl of like disposition who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my married life, to satisfy my lustful desire, I too have sought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything, for you are like a desire tree.
This is our verse that we're going to talk about, so we'll come back to it. Continue, please.
O my Lord, you are the master and leader of all living entities. Under your direction, all conditioned souls, if bound by rope, are constantly engaged in satisfying their desires. Following them, O embodiment of religion, I also bear obligation for you, who are eternal time.
However, persons who have given up stereotyped worldly affairs and the beastly followers of these affairs, and who have taken shelter of the umbrella of your lotus feet by drinking the intoxicating nectar of your qualities and activities in discussions with one another, can be freed from the primary necessities of the material body.
Did you have a question, or were you volunteering to read? Okay, we'll get to you in a minute. Okay, continue. Okay.
What is stereotyped worldly affairs?
17. However, persons who have given up stereotyped worldly affairs and the beastly follower. Okay, stereotyped worldly affairs is here I am. I need to. This is who I am. I'm my body, and for my body to be happy, I need a job. I need a wife. I needed this and I needed that. Now that might vary. Someone might not be thinking all exactly those things, but they're thinking those are stereotyped worldly affairs. Or someone might be in, Okay, thanks. If you do have questions, please, or even comments, you're allowed to raise your hand. Okay, continue. Can you pass him the mic?
Yeah.
He's got a mic there. Just mics are good because even though we're here, there's a lot of people that listen outside and can hear better if it's on the mic.
Your wheel, which has 3 naves, rotates around the axis of the imperishable Brahman. It has 13 spokes, 360 joints, 6 rims, and numberless leaves carried upon it.
Carved
upon it. Though its revolution cuts short the lifespan of the entire creation, this wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord.
Okay, so any clue what that means? That could be one meaning, but there's a little deeper meaning. Time factor. That's the wheel of time that's always rotating. It's always rotating. And then if we were going to go into that verse, there'd be a description of what the 360 days, the joints, and this and that, and the numberless leaves carved on it are the moments of time that pass. And that time factor, what does Krishna say about time in the Bhagavad Gita? That he is time. And the purpose of time is that famous movie. You must know the line in Oppenheimer's movie there. When the atom bomb went off, what does he say? The destroyer of the worlds. The time factor destroys everything. It's destroying everything. It's taking away our lifespan. Where Prabhupada gives the example, a newborn baby, he's a week old, and we think, oh, he's so cute. Prabhupada says he's a week closer to his death. Whatever his lifespan is, he's a week closer to his death. Now we don't think in those terms, and then sometimes if we just hear it on a superficial level, we think, oh, how morbid to be thinking like that. Oh, that you're going to die in a minute. But actually, when you think about it. Haha, that's a pun. When you think that's actually intelligent, because you realize I have this material world is limited by time and so many things. I have so much time. Let me utilize my time properly in the service of the Lord. And therefore, proper time, and it's explained here in that verse, this wheel of tremendous velocity cannot touch the lifespan of the devotees of the Lord. Vaninath Vasaprabhu, I'm sure you know the verse in the Bhagavatam that talks about that verse, how the sun doesn't affect the lifespan of the devotees, even if it's just in your own words, because I also don't have it memorized. You do. Yeah, and the translation?
As the sun rises, except for one.
Yes. As the sun, very good, thank you. That's about as well as I know too. As the sun rises and sets, it's taking away the lifespan. Just like that example of the baby, 1 week old, you think, oh great, probably he's 1 week closer to his death, and it's so true, isn't it? Okay, so as the sun rises and sets, it takes away the lifespan of a devotee, of a non-devotee, of a materialistic person. But it doesn't do that for a devotee, because the devotee, from what just take your example of your own very life today. From the beginning that you woke up, you probably came down and chanted and went to Mangal Arati or this or that. You know, you used your time. You came to Guru Puja, you're sitting here in class, you're using your time to glorify the Supreme Lord. So that, what did we say in our verse before we started the class? That these activities are not, these activities in devotional service give us a merit, a transcendental merit that can never, ever be taken away from us. That transcendental merit of that purification of having chanted, having seen the deities, having associated with devotees, having taken prasadam, even basic things. That purification can never be taken away. Now you might say, yeah, but I see plenty of people come into Krishna house and go away and never come back. Yeah, but that purification that they got from coming in for a week or 2 weeks or a minute or whatever will never go away. And even in their next life, it'll be there. That transcendental bank account will be there. And they'll start off at 0.2 or 0.30 or whatever, you know. They'll start off again, it will be there. It's accumulation. Again, bringing back to what we already read about something, how it takes many births because it's accumulation. Okay, let's continue. If any can remember, you can remember where we are. Thanks. 19.
My dear Lord, you alone create the universes, O personality of Godhead. Desiring to create these universes, you create them, maintain them, and again wind them up by your own energies, which are under the control of your second energy called Yoga Maya, just as a spider creates a cobweb by its own energy and again winds it up.
A lot could be said, but we'll go on.
My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. Let your causeless mercy be upon us, for you have appeared before us in your eternal form, adorned with a splendid breath of Tulasi leaves.
Okay, anything strike you about that verse? My dear Lord, although it is not your desire, you manifest this creation of gross and subtle elements just for our sensual satisfaction. What do you think about that? Yes, Prabhu. Use your little mic. We're going to train you up to use the mic.
That's the unlimited mercy of the Lord, that he does all this just for us. Like, we want it, he knows it's wrong for us, but he'll still do it.
Isn't that amazing? Very good. Very, very profound. Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's Krishna's mercy. We're thinking, and the bewildered living entity thinks that everything here is just created for me to enjoy. And it's true, but it's not true. It's created here for us to suffer. Oh my gosh. It is. Krishna, he stamped it. He certified it. It's certified a place of suffering. It's not that I have a bad attitude about life. No, it's dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It's a place. It's temporary and it's full of suffering. And that's the whole problem. Our misidentification. Yes, Vani Prabhu.
So one of the challenges that I have is that as a conditioned living entity, I'm looking only at the relative suffering, and so oftentimes it's hard to identify that. And only when I hear about what's actually possible, then it puts this in a certain context. Because if I get $2 today, then I think, oh, I'm making it. And compared to someone who's at the street corner not making it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that all of those things are part of the illusion. All of those things, that relative suffering, that satisfaction with, I'm not suffering so much. How you doing today? Oh, I'm doing okay. Why? Because, well, my foot doesn't hurt as much as it did yesterday, and my knee is okay. You know what I mean? So it's all relative. But in relation to, like what Vainath Prabhu said, when we hear about the eternal nature of the spiritual world, and what? Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam, the ever-increasing bliss. Not even just the standard happiness. It's okay, I'm happy. No, it's ever-increasing bliss that's there. It's so much more, attractive. And then the key word there is when we hear about it. So we have to keep hearing. So we have another verse to cover. Let's go for one more verse. We get that? Thank you. Ita.
I continuously offer my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet, of which it is worthy to take shelter, because you shower all benedictions on the insignificant, to give all living entities detachment from fruitive activity by realizing you. You have expanded these material worlds by your own energy.
Wow. Any thoughts on that verse? Any thoughts of a verse from Bhagavad Gita that might pop in your mind? Just when I read this verse, I thought of, to give all living entities detachment from fruitive activity by realizing you. You have expanded these material worlds for your own energies. Bhagavad Gita. Pram dristva nivartante. We can get a higher taste. Let's put it this way. When we get a higher taste, when we get a taste for transcendental activities, it's very easy to give up lower things. But when you're trying to give up the lower things, or give up smoking for the sake of giving up smoking, or this or that, it's a real struggle. But when you give up, like for those of us who had the unfortunate birth of not being born in the association of devotees for like 1 billion years, and then finally coming to devotional service, it wasn't hard for us to give up eating abominable things when we took prasadam. So nice, so much variety, so tasty, this and that. So it wasn't hard. It's not that we struggle. So param drist. So that applies in many circumstances, in many situations. Param dristva nivartate. Krishna's arranged that there's a taste in those transcendental activities, and when we perform them with ever increasing sincerity, we get ever increasing bliss, and when you get that ever increasing happiness, you actually, all the other lesser sources of so-called happiness easily fall away. Okay, now we'll zoom back into this wonderful verse, number 15. So, okay, but I just would like to say this again about Kardama Muni. So there he is, a great transcendentally realized personality, performing austerities. And he's performing these austerities, which if you don't take the whole picture into account, you might think, why is he doing all that just to get a wife? He's doing all of that just to get a wife because that was his instruction from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma instructed him, become a Prajapati, become a help propagate the universe, produce progeny so that the universe can be filled up with living entities. Because why? There's millions of living entities that quote unquote want to come here to try to enjoy separate. So give him a good situation. So he's trying to produce a nice atmosphere by having a nice wife that will and the combination producing nice children so that, you know, goodness can pervade. Yes, Prabhu.
What's coming to mind is kind of like, is he kind of like an Adam and waiting for an Eve, like an
Kind of like
original
that. Yes, we
person?
can put that, we're familiar with that circumstance, and it is, yeah. Of course, he's not the only Adam, because there's many Adams. But, you know, that's it. He's one of the original genitors of the book. Yep, good. That's the verse. Okay, I haven't. Tata sachaham parivodhu kama. Tata sachaham parivodhu kama. Samana shilam grihameha denum. Samana shilam grihameha denum. Upeiva mulam ashesha mulam. Upeivan mulam ashesha mulam. Durashaya kama dukhan vipashya. Kama dukhan vipashya. Durashaya kama duhang vipashya. Tata sachaham parivohu kama. Shamana shilam grihameda denum. Upeiva mulam ashesha mulam. Durashaya kama dukhan vipashya. Please chant. Tata sachaham parivoda kama. Shamana shilam grihameda denum. Upeiva mulam ashesha mulam. Durashaya kama dukhan vipashya. One more. Tata chaham parivodhakam. Shaman shilam grihameda. Upeivan mulam ashesha mulam. Durashaya kama dukhan. So I'll just read through the words. Tata, similarly, sa, myself, cha, also, aham, I, harivotu kama, desiring to marry, samanam shila, girl of like disposition, grihameda, in married life, denum, a cow of plenty, upeivan, having approached, mulam, the root, lotus feet, ashesha, of everything, mulam, the source, durashaya, with lustful desire, kama dukha, yielding all desires, angripasya, of you who are the tree. Okay, here's Srila Prabhupada's translation and some of the purport. Therefore, desiring to marry a girl of like disposition, who may prove to be a veritable cow of plenty in my material life, to satisfy my lustful desire, I too have sought the shelter of your lotus feet, which are the source of everything, for you are like a desire tree. Vanchakalpa, a desire tree, Krishna is the source of everything. So just a brief comment in this part. He's obviously very, very advanced spiritually, because he's seeing that it's not by my endeavor alone am I going to achieve my desires, but by pleasing the Lord, who's the source of everything. If I please the Lord, then everything will come through. Like, can you start with the purport? Whoever would like to read the purport.
In spite of his condemning persons who approach the Lord for material advantages, Kardama Muni expressed his material inability and desire before the Lord by saying, although I know that nothing material should be asked from you, I nevertheless desire to marry a girl of like disposition.
Okay, stop for a thing. Thank you. So, Srimad Bhagavatam explains about material desires. So in so many places, but in one verse it says, if all you have is material desires, you should approach the Lord. If your desire is for liberation, you should approach the Lord. And if you're free from all desires at all, and you have no material desires at all, you should still approach the Lord. In any condition of life, you should approach the Lord. Because why? As Kardama Muni explains here, and many other sages confirm, Krishna is the source of everything. Bhagavad Gita explains that one of our many illusions is we think, and I've mentioned this already, that we're the doer. That's an illusion. That I'm the doer. I'm the source of my whatever, the source of my happiness. I'm the source of everything that's come to me. I worked really hard. I got this job. I got this money, and therefore that I'm the doer. I did it. But actually, Bhagavad Gita says, that's not the proper vision. That's not enlightened vision. In fact, that's really ignorant of understanding the whole organization of the material and spiritual world. So what are some factors in doership aside from me? Go ahead.
Krishna's arrangement.
Krishna's arrangement is a factor in it, yes. Other factors, Prabhu. Karma is a factor. Our past deeds, if we don't deserve, we might, like how many people out there don't want to, quote unquote, win the lottery, get $1 million or whatever. But not everybody deserves to get it, so they're not going to get it. Which reminds me of a really interesting story that I won't tell you right now, but maybe I'll tell you if you remind me. Dhritarashtra, okay? Remind me. But it does explain a lot about the karma and karmic. Okay, Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita explains there's different factors in action, and to think that you're the only doer and not see that, well, your endeavor is a factor, the time is a factor, this is a factor, so many things are factors, and ultimately the sanction of the Lord is a factor, like you were saying, the sanction of the Lord, the super soul, that's a factor. We're not the ultimate doer. And to think that we're the ultimate doer, immediately we're disregarding the help and assistance we've gotten from other people to get to where we are. Just like even we're just picking because we're in a college town and in college, circumstances. Just might thinking you applied to college, you got in college, this and that, and you might think, yeah, I did a good job. How did you get there? Your mother changed your diapers. She fed you. Your father worked really hard to support you. This and that. So many factors. Your teachers, this and that. Your whatever. All of these factors are part of it. And to think that I did it on my own is a very conceited, self-centered, limited, imperfect vision. And ultimately ungrateful for all the support that we've got. To have that broader vision that I'm here and what Kardama Muni is also saying, I'm here by your grace, by your mercy I'm here, and you've given me this, so I'm praying to you for the fulfillment. Take-home lesson, one of the take-home lessons, no matter what service that we're asked to do or what service we are allowed to do, we should pray to the Lord to help us execute that service nicely. Even if it's something like washing the pots or this or that, everything any ability that we have can be taken away from us in a second, which we forget to consider that, but it can be taken away from us in a second. And any talent that we can exhibit it's borrowed. Prabhupada calls it borrowed plumes. It's borrowed from the unlimited source of opulences of the Lord. He's allowing us to utilize something. So to acknowledge that puts the living entity in a whole different position, mental state, that's much more aligned with the proper understanding of purpose of life, who I am, where I came from, and align myself with Krishna. Yes.
I have a really good recent example.
Okay.
So in Tallahassee, they actually had a bunch of tornadoes come through, and I saw on this video the tattoo shop that I grew up getting tattoos at.
Really, it's obvious. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. And I spent a lot of time with them. Tattoo artists have really big egos. And
Has what? Say that
they
again.
have very big egos.
Egos, okay. I just
They
didn't catch that.
very much, because of their artistic ability, take credit for that ability. I haven't ever seen them too much, into spirituality. And yeah, the tattoo shop is just like completely destroyed by a tornado. They had a video in there. It's like leaking water, like the roof's down. It's just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
In an instant, it can all just be
in an
taken
instant,
away.
it can all be taken away, can it? Right. And then a person without spiritual understanding, they're like devastated. Why did it happen to me? There's no God or whatever. It's all unjust. But a person with spiritual understanding, even a glimpse of spiritual understanding by reading Prabhupada's books, they'll think, what's the lesson to be learned in this situation? What can I learn? Krishna is so kind. It could have been worse. I deserve worse. That's what Lord Brahma says, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse. I deserve worse, but Krishna's very kindly just he's giving me some good things. And when good things happen, I also don't deserve that either, because that's his kindness to give me that. It's a gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. It's much more in line with, and it's much more easy, life-giving, easy to survive with an attitude like that. Okay, let's go on a little bit with our purport. Whoever would like to read. The phrase like disposition
is very significant. Formerly, boys and girls of similar dispositions were married. Similar natures of the boy and girl were united in order to make them happy. Not more than 25 years ago, perhaps it is still current, parents in India used to consult the horoscope of the boy and girl to see whether there would be factual union in their psychological conditions. These considerations are very important. Nowadays, marriage takes place without such consultation, and therefore, soon after the marriage, there is divorce and separation. Formerly, husband and wife used to live together peacefully throughout their whole lives. Nowadays, it is a very difficult task.
Thank you. Nowadays, it's a very difficult task, and this is nothing new to you. It's not like reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you figured it out. Oh, it's a very difficult task. We see it in front of our eyes all the time. Very easy to start relationships, this and that. Very difficult to maintain them. Whether they're even relationships of husband and wife, even friends, even this and that, even casual acquaintances. Very difficult just by the nature of this material world. Putting the one example is why the nature of this material world is so difficult to navigate smoothly, is that everyone had the ego is compared to like a stone. So if you throw one stone in the water and then the ripples go out in a concentric circle and everything's fine. Throw a few stones in simultaneously and all those ripples bump into each other and clash and fight for supremacy. So that ego, or that concept, I am this body, this is me, this is who I am, and I want my body to be satisfied in every respect, on demand, switch, click, click, on demand satisfaction. And that's, in one sense, you could say that would be okay if you were the only person in the world. But because we come in contact with other people who have similar desires, and then their and ours clash, and we fight over so many things. We fight over the land where we were born in. Well, I was born here and you were born there, and now and someone else. We have nothing to do with the argument, but because somebody's a friend, one of our friends is on this side, and one of our and somebody we don't like is on that side, then we take the sides of friends and enemies. It just goes on and on and on because of a bodily concept of life. This is who I am. I was born in this part of the world. We do things this way. It's superior to what you do. I was born in this part of the world, but with this religious belief system, it's different. Just like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, some people, when they come into a place of worship, they get on their knees. Some people bow down. Some people stand up. Some people offer pranams like this. And we're arguing, no, it's better that you just genuflect on one knee. No, it's better that you offer your pranams full dandavats. No, it's this. The point is offer your respect to the Lord, not argue how you. But we, in our bodily concept of life, because I grew up like this, and we used to offer our respects to the Lord by genuflecting on our right knee as we went to the church, that's the way to do it. And somebody who does it in a different way, they're inferior or whatever. But it's just that concept of repeatedly finding disunity in a place where we could, if we changed our vision, try to find unity. Okay. We'll go on with the purport. Does someone over this side like to read? Nisha, can you pass the mic? Kardama Muni wanted to have a wife.
Kardama Muni wanted to have a wife of like disposition because a wife is necessary to assist in spiritual and material advancement. It is said that a wife yields the fulfillment of all desires in religion, economic development, and sense gratification. If one has a nice wife, he is to be considered a most fortunate man. In astrology, a man is considered fortunate who has great wealth, very good sons, or a very good wife. Of these three, one who has a very good wife is considered the most fortunate. Before marrying, one should select a wife of like disposition and not be enamored by so-called beauty or other attractive features for sense gratification. In the Bhagavatam, 12th canto, it is said that in the Kali Yuga, marriage will be based on the consideration of sex life. As soon as there is deficiency in sex life, the question of divorce will arise.
And then, we have one more paragraph. Let's read the last paragraph. Would you read it? And then we'll talk a little bit about like dispositions.
Kardama Muni could have asked his benediction from Uma, for it is recommended in the scriptures that if anyone wants a good wife, he should worship Uma. But he preferred to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead because it is recommended in the Bhagavatam that everyone, whether he is full of desires, has no desire, or desires liberation, should worship the Supreme Lord. Of these three classes of men, one tries to be happy by fulfillment of material desires, another wants to be happy by becoming one with the Supreme, and another, the perfect man, is a devotee. He does not want anything in return from the personality of Godhead. He only wants to render transcendental loving service. In any case, everyone should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for he will fulfill everyone's desire. The advantage of worshipping the Supreme Person is that even if one has desires for material enjoyment, if he worships Krishna, he will gradually become a pure devotee and have no more material hankering.
In my opinion, the whole purport that we just read is summarized by that last sentence. Srila Prabhupada says, the advantage of worshiping the Supreme Person is that even if one has desires, and who doesn't have desires, even though we're aspiring for transcendental advancement, we're mixed. We're so much mixed with so many desires. But even if one has desires for material enjoyment, if he worships Krishna, he will gradually become a pure devotee and have no more material hankering, which kind of confirms the things that we've been saying already. That by experiencing a higher taste in devotional service, in service of the Lord, in chanting or serving in some way or other, by experiencing that taste, that genuine taste, which one can experience even on entering the door, even on just coming in, one can experience some happiness, some taste, and that taste will increase by the more one continues with their service. Jai Shri Shri Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Hare Krishna. That will increase more and more, but that taste that one gets, even though we're aspiring for pure devotional service, here we are. In reality, we look, oh, but I still want a comfortable life. I still want this. They're there. We can't divorce ourselves from all of those things, but by dovetailing it and putting Krishna in the center, then gradually all of those needs, wants, and everything will become either fulfilled or nullified. Krishna, there's an incident in Chaitanya Charitamrita where when Lord Chaitanya is explaining to, I think, Sanatana Goswami, the process of devotional service, at a certain point, Lord Chaitanya gives an example of how Krishna thinks. Here's my aspiring devotee praying to me for material benediction. And if I grant this material, if I'm so smart, if I'm so smart, if I grant that material desire, what's it going to lead to? It's going to lead to another desire that he's going to ask me for, because it's never fully satisfying. So if I'm so smart, let me figure out how to grant his desire so that his desire gets taken away from him. So he loses the desire for material enjoyment. Can you think of an example in the Bhagavatam? It's actually in the next canto, in the fourth canto that I'm thinking of. I'm sure there's other examples too, of a devotee who approached the Lord with material desires. He was only a little guy. Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, at 5 years old, gets insulted, the circumstances, gets insulted by his stepmother. And so he says, I'll show them. I'll show them. I want a kingdom that's bigger than my father's. I want a kingdom that's bigger than my grandfather. So his father was Uttanapad, his grandfather was Brahma. I want a kingdom bigger than my grandfather, Lord Brahma. Now, that's a pretty big desire, right? Bigger than Brahma, who's the creator of the universe. And so he gets the advice to go worship the Supreme Lord. And he worships the Supreme Lord with such intensity that in a very short time, 6 months to be exact, he actually sees the Lord face to face by dint of his intense desire to see the Lord. He sees him within 6 months. And the Lord comes before him and says, okay, I'm here to fulfill your desire. And Dhruva says, oh my gosh, now that you're here, I can see that, now that I see you, now that I can see your beauty and come closer to you in that way, I see that what I was asking for was just like broken glass. You know, he compared having a kingdom, wanting a kingdom bigger than Lord Brahma, to a desire for broken glass, when I could have your transcendental service. So the Lord fulfilled his desire. The Lord fulfilled Dhruva's desire in a way that took the desire for that enjoyment away. And he only wanted pure devotional service. And the thing came out that he ruled the world for just 36,000 years, you know, and then went back to God. So in other words, he got his desire fulfilled in a way that removed that desire from his heart altogether. And he didn't get entangled more and more in materialistic activities. So I'm over time. You want me to stop? Yes, I got that little. Okay, like disposition is important in a marriage too, so check that out. Haribol. Because if somebody's interested in renunciation and someone else is interested in material advancement and comfortable life, when those things come together, and what to speak of other different, that's what he's talking about. Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hare Hare Bol. Our favorite prayer of the day is, please. Narayanam Namaskritam. No, there's another one. There, that one. Rajam.